Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we'll follow an emotional and meaningful story about Toan's journey to reclaim his memories and love. After going through difficult times, Tuan has decided to live with Lytudiem at Thu's farm to recover the memories he's lost and start a new life. Even though he has to say goodbye to the elderly woman who cared for him during his hard days, Toan can't stop thinking about her and the memories they shared. Throughout this journey, Lytudiem has always been by his side, sharing every hardship and helping him overcome the challenges. Will their love be strong enough to withstand all obstacles? Will the elderly woman feel at peace seeing Tuan leave? Stay tuned for this touching story, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any upcoming videos. At Thu's house, the atmosphere was warm, with friendly conversations between Lytudiem and Thu's mother. Tuan sat next to them, quietly listening to the discussion, feeling the care and attention from those around him. Lytudiem glanced at Thu, her eyes filled with concern, but also determination. As she picked up her handbag, she shared her worries with Thu and his mother about bringing Toan to live with them. "Hey, I'm going to bring Tuan to live with us, but I'm also worried about the elderly woman. She lives alone, and she'll be really lonely if we leave. She's such a kind person, and I really feel guilty about leaving her like this." Lytudiem sighed, her face showing her uncertainty. Thu's mother looked at her with comforting eyes and gently replied, "You don't need to worry too much. Everything will work out. The elderly woman will understand and support your decision. You and Toan need to think about your future and your happiness. She won't stay sad for long, because you'll always remember her and visit her often." Hearing his mother's words, Thu nodded and made up his mind. "Don't worry, I'll go pick up Tuan right away. I'll also drop off some money to help the elderly woman a bit. You stay home and rest. I'll take care of everything." Lytudiem was touched by Thu's kindness. She smiled and thanked him. "Thank you so much. I'll do everything I can to help Toan recover quickly. I'll take care of him and never forget about the elderly woman." Finally, Thu said goodbye to his mother, and Lytudiem, stepping out with determination to pick up Tuan. All three of them hoped that everything would turn out well, and that their decisions would lead to a brighter future. The elderly woman sat next to Toan, her eyes full of concern and worry. Tuan looked at her with heavy eyes, feeling guilty deep down for having to leave her behind. "Lytudiem will come to pick me up today, and I'll go with her. I'll miss you so much," Tuan said softly, his voice low and quiet. The elderly woman looked at Toan, her eyes lighting up with understanding. She had lived alone for so long and knew that Toan needed to leave to regain his memories to start a new life with Lytudiem. She didn't want him to feel burdened, but in her heart she felt a little sad and reluctant. "Don't worry about me," she reassured him gently, her voice full of love. "I'll be fine. You need to be with Lytudiem so she can take care of you and help you get your memory back. I understand, so don't worry about me. Go ahead, go with her." She took Toan's hand, looking at him with a tender gaze, hoping that he would find happiness and peace. "I don't want you to worry about me anymore. You need to think about yourself, about your future. I know you love me, but now it's time for you to move forward on your own path." Hearing her words, Tuan felt a little lighter in his heart. He nodded, though his eyes still showed a deep sense of longing. Thank you. I'll never forget you. I'll always think of you and visit you often." The elderly woman smiled, nodding in reassurance. "Go now. I'll always be here. Go and live well with Lytudiem. Don't worry about me." Thu arrived and stood outside the door, smiling as he greeted the elderly woman. "Hello, I'm here to take Toan with me today." He pulled out some money from his wallet, preparing to give it to her as a gift to thank her for all the help and care she had given Toan. However, the elderly woman gently declined. "You don't need to do that. Anyone who sees Toan's situation would want to help," she said warmly, without any hurry. She could feel Thu's sincerity, and as long as Toan was okay, she was content. After Thu asked for her permission to take Toan with him, Tuan entered the house, packed his belongings, and got ready to leave. When he came out, the elderly woman looked at him with eyes full of love and concern. Tuan stepped closer, and unable to hold back his emotions, he hugged her tightly. She gently patted him, whispering comfortingly, "You'll remember soon, don't worry." Her words made Tuan's heart ache with longing and affection for her. He couldn't stop the tears, and they streamed down his cheeks because he knew he had to leave her, the one who had always been there for him during his hard times. He promised her, "Grandma, I'll visit whenever I can. I'll never forget you." After hastily saying goodbye, Tuan stepped outside with Thu. But before getting into the car, he turned back and looked at the elderly woman's house one last time. His heart raced when he saw her standing in the window, watching them go. Though she didn't say a word, her eyes spoke volumes. "Everything will be okay, and you'll always remember me." Tuan and Lytudiem arrived at Thu's farm after a long journey. The new house wasn't very large, but it was cozy and well-equipped. The atmosphere here was peaceful, far from the hustle and bustle of the city, surrounded by spacious land and lush greenery. Lytudiem felt at ease, noticing how open and fresh the place was with longan and banana trees around, making her feel close to nature. Thu, with a thoughtful expression, led them into their new home. He pointed to the wooden chairs placed in the corners of the room and slowly said, "This house will be where you start over. Everything here is simple but complete. It may not be fully finished, but I believe this will be a place where you can feel at home." He smiled, trying to create a warm and welcoming atmosphere for both Lytudiem and Toan. Although Thu's mother wasn't present when they arrived, she had prepared everything beforehand, helping make sure that Toan and Lytudiem would have a stable place to live. When she saw them from a distance, she smiled warmly and said, "This is where you'll live. Everything has been prepared, water, electricity, and all the essentials. You don't have to worry about a thing." Thu's mother could tell that even though it was temporary, this was a good start for the young couple. Tuan looked around the house, feeling the peace and closeness of the space. It was a new environment that he had never imagined before. He sighed gently and nodded to Thu and his mother, expressing his gratitude. "Thank you, Thu." "Thank you, Auntie. Everything's perfect. I really feel comfortable here." Lytudiem, standing next to Toan, looked at him with a gentle gaze. "Yes, this is a fresh start, a very peaceful place." She looked at Thu and his mother and smiled appreciatively. "Thank you, Thu. Thank you, Auntie. We are truly grateful." Thu pointed to the longan and banana trees outside and said, "This land isn't just for living. It has many fruit trees. The longan tree has been here for a long time, and the banana trees are new. You can plant more vegetables or even raise livestock if you want. Here everything is free and easy as long as you don't disturb anyone. Tuan felt a sense of relief, partly because of the peace here, and partly because he knew this place could help heal the wounds in his heart. Diem, standing next to Toan, sensed the change in him. She may not fully understand all of his thoughts, but she knew this was their chance to start fresh. Thu's mother, seeing the open space and the closeness between Tuan and Diem, comforted them. Living here will be very different from before, won't it? But I believe that with the love and care you both have for each other, all the difficulties will pass. Tuan nodded, feeling lighter than ever. He knew that even though this was just a new beginning, it was an opportunity he couldn't let slip by. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Thu. From now on, we'll live here and do our best to overcome any challenges. He looked at Diem, their eyes meeting, and without saying a word, it felt like an unspoken promise to face everything together. Diem added, "We'll do everything we can to repay the people who've helped us, especially the elderly woman, and you, Thu Auntie." She gently comforted Toan, reminding him that they had another family here, people who would always love and care for them. Looking around at the surrounding trees, Diem felt confident that choosing to live here was the right decision. The wide space, fresh air, and the support from Thu and his mother made her feel that she and Tuan would have the opportunity to recover the memories they had lost and start building a new life. Thu's mother looked at Tuan and Diem with affection, then said, "You can live here without worry. I won't let you lack anything." The three of them stood there for a moment, the only sound being the gentle breeze, and a sense of peace enveloped them. Tuan and Diem felt an unusual sense of calm. This was a major turning point in their lives. They had decided to start over here, and more importantly, this was where they would find the lost memories and build a life filled with love and care. After sharing a few meaningful moments of silence, Tuan and Diem were ready to say goodbye to Thu and his mother. The atmosphere in the house grew warmer than ever as both sides felt the bond and love that Thu's family had shown them throughout the time they've spent together. Diem stood up facing Thu and his mother and spoke with gratitude. "Thank you so much, Thu. And thank you, Auntie, for helping Toan and me, not only during our tough times, but also for giving us a safe place to start over," she said with a sincere smile, her eyes shining as she thought about what they would begin in their new home. Thu looked at her, his eyes filled with pride and understanding. He smiled. "It's nothing, Diem. You two are my friends, and I'll always help you whenever I can. I wish you both the best here to get through the tough times and find your memories soon." Thu's mother, who had been sitting nearby, gently waved for Diem to come closer. "Diem, don't worry too much. Everything will be fine. I'll always support you. And remember, if you need anything, come to me. Thu and I will always be here to help," she said in a soft, warm tone. Diem felt the immense kindness Thu's mother had for her and Tuan. She nodded, feeling deep gratitude. "Thank you so much, Auntie. You're so kind. I'll visit you and Thu whenever I can. I wish you both health and happiness." Tuan, still feeling reluctant to leave Thu's family, bowed his head in thanks. "Thank you, Thu. Thank you, Auntie, for everything. We don't know how to express our gratitude, but we are really thankful for all your help," he said, trying to hold back the unfamiliar emotions in his heart. Even if we go far away, we will never forget your kindness. Thu patted Tuan's shoulder, his eyes full of empathy. I understand, Tuan. Everything will be fine. You both have to live for yourselves and for your future. We'll always be here, and you can always come back. Thu's mother gently added, That's right, don't worry. This will always be your home. Tuan and Lytudiem looked at each other one last time, then turned to Thu and his mother bowing to say their final goodbye. We're leaving now. Thank you so much, Auntie and Thu. Lytudiem smiled softly, her eyes filled with emotion and gratitude. Yes, I wish you both health and happiness, Tuan said, then stepped outside. He and Lytudiem left the house together, but with every step, their hearts were full of love and appreciation for Thu's family. As they stepped outside, Tuan felt a shift inside himself. The sense of longing for the elderly woman was still there, but he knew this was the right decision. Thu and his mother's help had been the stepping stone for him and Lytudiem to start over. He looked at Lytudiem, and although her eyes showed some worry, they were filled with hope. We'll be fine, Tuan. There will be many challenges in this new place, but I believe we'll get through it all. Tuan smiled, his eyes shining. I think so too. No matter what happens, we'll always be together. This is a new opportunity, and we'll start fresh. Lytudiem nodded, feeling lighter in her heart. Even though she knew the road ahead would be tough, with Thu's encouragement, his mother's support, and Tuan's love for her, she believed everything would be fine. When they got in the car, they sat in silence for a moment. The surrounding atmosphere was still quiet, but inside them, a new life was waiting. Tuan looked out the car window, watching the scenery change as they left Thu's place, a part of his past. But in his heart, no matter how far they went, he knew he would always carry the memories of Thu and his mother's kindness. Finally, the car stopped in front of their new home. Tuan and Lytudiem stepped out, looking at the small house, the garden around it, and the clear blue sky. This would be where they would begin anew, find what they had lost, and build their life. We'll be fine, won't we? Lytudiem asked softly. Tuan nodded, smiling, and held her hand. Of course, together, we'll get through everything. Tuan and Lytudiem settled into their new life at the farm. The first few days were peaceful, filled with the simplicity of country living. The fresh air and open space were a welcome change, and the quietness allowed Tuan to reflect and process the journey that had brought him here. As the days passed, Tuan began to feel more at home. Lytudiem was by his side, helping him adjust to the new rhythm of life. They spent their days tending to the small garden outside, enjoying the peaceful surroundings and trying to forget the challenges of their past. One afternoon, as they worked in the garden, Tuan looked at Lytudiem with a sense of calm that he hadn't felt in a long time. He knew the road ahead would be tough, but with her by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came their way. Thank you for being here, for being my strength, Tuan said softly, his voice filled with sincerity. Lytudiem smiled, her eyes full of love. We're in this together, Tuan. We always have been. We'll rebuild, and we'll make it through. I believe in us. With time, Tuan's memory began to return in small fragments. Each memory was a step forward in his journey of healing. The more he remembered, the more he understood the importance of the people around him, the ones who had helped him when he was lost. and the ones who would stand by him as he found his way again. As Toan and Lytudiem continued their life at the farm, they found strength in the simple things: the warmth of the sun on their skin, the sound of the wind rustling through the trees, and the quiet moments they shared. They knew that no matter the hardships they would face, they had each other. Months passed, and the small farm began to feel like home. Tuan had regained much of his memory, though not all of it. What mattered now was that he was not alone and that he had a future to look forward to. The love and care that Thu and his mother had shown them were never forgotten. Tuan and Lytudiem knew that no matter where life took them, they would carry the kindness and support they had received with them forever. In the end, they had found what they had been searching for, not just the return of lost memories, but the realization that they had the power to create a new life filled with love, hope, and new beginnings. The end.